episode of Third Eye Roll. I'm Dr. Justine Lemos. I'm here with Scarlett Trillia. How are you, Scarlett?
Good. It's good to be international with you.
I know, it's so excited. We're exciting. We're almost on the same time zone, but not quite.
Almost, not quite.
So today we have a very special season finale episode in which we are going to talk about the concept of Sangha, what that is, and what it means in relation to yoga and yogic pathways.
That's right. We're taking a little step back from the sky. The sky is kind of in retrograde motion right now, so we're just gonna let that take care of itself. We've given a lot of insights over the last, how many? 14 episodes?
This is number 15.
This is number 15. So we've
Yeah.
decided that number 15 is the season finale. Nobody knew that we were recording a season of podcasts, but we did it. And this is the finale right here, right
And we
now.
didn't even miss a single week.
Not a single one. Because that is what practice is all about.
That's right.
It's about consistency and showing up for the things that you've decided to work on.
Yep.
So we recorded a whole season. We'll take a little, well, we're gonna put a cap on it, and then we're gonna tell you about season two coming soon.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell a myth today, so that'll be exciting. So stay to the end when I tell a myth.
Oh, I was gonna say should we tell the myth first, but now we have to save it for
No, we're
oh,
not
save
telling
it
myths
for
first.
this.
It's at the end because that way they have to listen to the whole thing.
Okay. Stick around.
So, Sangha, this is the word Sangha, which is often used to mean spiritual collective, is actually a Pali word with a Sanskrit root. So it's Samkha or Sangha, which means gathering together. And this term, though it's used in the yoga community internationally, is primarily a Buddhist term. And in
Interesting.
essence, a sangha is a community that is devoted to a shared spiritual practice. Specifically, in classical Buddhism, there are three jewels. There's outer jewels known as the Buddha, the awakened one, the Dharma, the teaching, and the Sangha, the community that supports the path. And, in the West, Sangha is often used as like a group of spiritual friends, but it's really the term and the concept is really more than that. It is a refuge, it is a relational raft across the sea of samsara. So if we're all crossing this sea of existence, then we get in a boat with a group of individuals and we commit to that journey with them, perhaps we could say. You know, a sangha is really based on a shared kind of commitment or ethics or support. It's not just like a groovy kind of shared interest or vibe energy.
That made me immediately think of a movie pick, but I don't want to drag us too
Mm,
far out of order.
all right, all
Um,
right.
ooh, but noted, noted.
Yeah, glad that made you think of the movie pick. One of our teachers, our collective teacher, Scott Miller, he would talk about the Sangha being a group of individuals devoted to spiritual inquiry that also retains the right to disagree with each other, um, as opposed to a cult where there is no room for disagreement. Now, I mean, historically, a Sangha might have or might not have had the room to disagree with each other. It's hard to say. And perhaps all Sanghas are cults. I don't know. But the Sanskrit term or the Tantric term that is not used as much in the West is kula. And this means clan. And the Sanskrit root is ku, which means to gather together or form, or to form together. And really, the kula, even more than the sangha, is a family that is brought together by initiation or resonance or shared Shakti or through a particular lineage. And the Akula, will literally feel that they are brothers and sisters with the teacher as, or teachers as their parents. In Kaula Tantra, the Kula is a family of practitioners, and then the body itself is also called Kula. And this is so the body is Kula, the group itself is Kula, and so the Kula is the field or the sacred container where Shakti, Kundalini, spirituality unfolds. This is a relational alchemy in a shared resonant field in the Kula.
All right. Okay. So I just decided on a new format for the podcast right here, right now that
Okay,
I'm
good.
gonna just here we go. Just as the
Okay,
season finale, we're gonna shake it up. No,
bring it.
I kind of feel like I want to interview you and ask you some questions.
Great. I
Um,
love it. Let's do it.
right? Which also leads me to my music pick. So
Okay.
I'm getting real inspired with
I love it.
our cultural anchors here. I'm gonna save them though till until right before the myth,
All right.
which comes right before the teaser for next season.
That's
Just
right.
because if and this is good for the teachers, and other leaders that are listening to us. There's a great format to teaching, which is tell everyone what you're gonna do and then do it,
That's right.
and then tell
I
them
always
what.
do that. Tell
Yeah,
everybody what you're going to do, then do it while you tell them what you're doing, and then at the end, tell them what you just did.
tell them what you did. I mean, it's foolproof. It's also a great way this is great guidance for public speakers too. So
Oh, absolutely.
here we are, just best practices. We told you what we're gonna do. Now we're doing it. And then we're gonna at the end we can do a little recap if we want.
I love it.
We've never applied our own best advice to the podcast, but I mean it's the finale, so
Might as
let's do
well.
it. All right, so why would a group of people, I'm gonna pretend I don't know the answers to the questions.
Okay.
This is my favorite game. This is my favorite game to play.
Well, actually,
What?
there's a really great example of this practice in Buddhist teaching, where the Buddha had this student, and I forget the name of the student right now. It will come to me. But he had this student who would ask all the perfect questions so that the Buddha could give the teachings, but the student already knew all the answers to them. So we're embodying that myth.
Well, that's like us doing yoga teacher training, where
Yes.
I'm just like pretending to be a student in your class. Like, excuse me, I have a question. And you're like, Scarlett, that question is a little advanced. Like, oh, but we gotta know the gotta know the answer. Anyway, okay, so why sorry, why would a group of people want to be in a boat riding across the sea of samsara? And what the fuck is samsara? What? Wait, what?
Well,
Sorry,
well, first of
teacher,
all,
teacher, I have a question.
I mean, first of all, it's less lonely if you're in a boat with other people. And we
Okay.
all know from shipwrecks, like you've got food. If you've got other people, you can eat them. So it's good.
It's true. You can eat them. Ooh, okay. That's not the answer I was expecting to the question that I thought I already knew the answer to.
Yeah, you didn't even know that. If you get
I
in a
did.
really bad shipwreck, you can eat those people.
So my next question was gonna be, what's the difference between a sangha and a cult? But now I'm a little afraid.
No, but I mean, they can help you out, right? If you need meat, they can give you their body. If you need comfort, they can help you. Like they can help you out, and you're in a space of shared resonant reality, especially because spirituality and the spiritual quest, if we like that term, can be daunting, it can be scary, it can be lonely, it can be without others, like descending into a cave. And it is wonderful to have a group, like classic D&D. Don't split the party. You get your D&D party together and then you go on your quest together, because you have different skills and you have different abilities and you can form this resonant field together to go on this quest. And different players along this quest will get different boons and different magical items that can help the sangha move forward in this quest, which ultimately will help all people around them,
I
even
lo-
the other people in different boats,
I
and
love that.
even the people who are drowning in the water.
Sometimes you could pick them up and put them in your boat.
Occasionally, you
Mm,
might be able to pick them up and put them in your boat if they are ready and willing, and have that karmic seed inside of them, for lack of a better word, right? Which is important, and which brings us to the very important topic of, like, a sangha is not just a trauma bonded group of people coming together to roll around in their trauma together, or bonded together because of collected trauma.
no. It's a
Or it's also not a community with shared branding and no shared practice.
not necessarily. It that could happen as that could be a coincidence, not it's like correlation causation,
Yes, yes,
right?
but well,
Yeah.
they have to have shared practice. To be in the boat together, we need to have some sort of shared practice.
While you're in the boat. It's like we're in a boat, we're rowing a boat.
Exactly
We're
right.
not skydiving up in here because that's not what you do in a rowboat kind of thing.
Exactly. And
Yeah,
it's
it's
not just a charismatic leader with passive followers. That is not a sacred relational field. And it's like you just recognize that you're in a sangha together. It's like, oh, I know you. We're here to awaken together. Let's do this.
hmm. And so I think for our listeners, dear listeners,
Mm.
um, should we define samsara?
Yeah, we could define samsara. That's a nice idea.
That's a nice idea. And then they might understand why they would choose to be in a boat sangha, um, or not. Um, I think if you've listened to this season one of Third Eye Roll podcast, uh, there are likely karmic seeds inside of you that are ripening, and
Mm.
that's a beautiful metaphor that we use in this tradition. Karmic seeds are ripening that have brought you here because this isn't for everyone. And in some ways, you are part of a sangha that we have created, and the boat of the Third Eye Roll Sangha is the podcast.
Yes.
And this is a shared experience that we're all having. We're not really practicing together, but it's kind of a similar concept. But let's talk about what samsara is, because we haven't actually used that word yet. I don't believe, not in this season.
So samsara is an endless cycle of becoming. Sam means together, shra means to flow. So it's that which flows together, or it's often called the oceanic cycle of birth and death and rebirth. This is the wheel of existence. It's about repetition and illusion and attachment and the suffering that comes from mistaking the temporary for the eternal. So this is samskara. It's not really that samskara is bad and liberation or moksha is good. It's more like, are you aware that you're in the dream? And are you confusing the dream for reality? Samskara then, of course, lives in our nervous system as like a chronic stress loop, or repeating relationship patterns, or getting stuck in fight and flight and freeze and fawn. But every moment of awareness, like a breath, a mantra, um, any practice, is a chance to liberate ourselves from that wheel of samsara right here and right now.
And liberation, of the mind always occurs in the present moment. It's not a permanent state. Not
Correct.
not while you're a living, breathing human in this reality.
Hmm.
And there's another metaphor that we use a lot that we also have not introduced on this podcast. Are we foreshadowing season two? Maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe
Maybe.
we're forced. Maybe. So, ooh, I don't know. We did say that we were going to, and now we are doing. And at the end, we will reflect on the fact that we
That
have.
we did
So,
it.
um, something that we'll share about next season is the razor's edge,
Mm.
which is a beautiful metaphor that we use a lot. And we might be foreshadowing that we will be decentering Jyotish. We've been very
Mm.
astrologically focused.
Mm.
We may be coming in on another pillar of this tradition next season. That would make sense.
It would.
It
I
would
like
make
it.
sense to do that. And Razor's Edge is this idea of a very, very, very fine balance that is struck when you participate in these traditions and these practices. And we'll have to come back and explore that in depth later. Just a little foreshadowing. But why would you want to be in community while you play on the edges of your interpretation of manifest reality? I can answer that question. It's the same reason why, since the beginning of humanity, pretty much in all traditional societies and all modern societies, we see evidence of ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do ceremonious things, ritualistic things on your own,
Mm-hmm.
but that's a very isolating and sometimes frightening thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And a person who is doing those kinds of things by themselves probably didn't just make them up on their own. They were probably taught to them and they may be practicing, but there's always evidence of community at some level. And a sangha, as we are describing it, a boat full of people, is making a conscious decision to participate in defined shared practices, not just
Mm-hmm.
something that somebody thought up in that moment,
Mm-hmm.
but they're making a conscious decision to look to tradition, follow the guidance of someone who has been initiated in that tradition,
Mm-hmm.
and essentially submit to the effects of that practice
Mm-hmm.
as they float momentarily or temporarily above or beyond the confines of
Mm.
the suffering of living in this 3D human reality.
Correct. Yeah. That sounds good.
That sounds good, right?
Great. Let's do it.
So a movie that came to mind is Life of Pi,
Yeah, like I was also thinking of Life of Pi. Great.
right? I mean, we that wasn't what had in mind coming into this episode, but you kind of have to think about that.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I haven't watched it actually in a long time, but think about what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the other
Good
movie,
old Richard Parker.
good old Richard Parker. The other movie that came to mind is Samsara.
Uh-huh.
Um, what's the difference between Samsara and Samskara?
Samskara was a similar root, but samskara are the wheels specific to the mind or specific to the individual, whereas samsara is this ocean of existence that
Yeah,
we, ocean of birth, life, death, rebirth that we're all involved in.
yeah. So, and this is another foreshadowing for next season. We can talk in depth about samskaras that exist. I mean, we all come into this world with patterns, whether they're in our genes or they're in our, our family environment, nature, nurture,
Mm-hmm.
personality, all that stuff. A samskara can be thought of like a pathway,
Mm-hmm.
and they can exist in all the layers of themselves. Ooh, no time to talk about it now, but you'll have to come back next season. Um, Whereas Samsara actually would be a great watch. It's a little dystopian,
Mm-hmm.
And what's wild is that when did that movie come out? That is back from 2011. Ooh, time
Mm,
goes by.
mhm, mhm.
And the movie that preceded that was Baraka, I believe.
Baraka, yeah,
Baraka.
yeah,
And these are beautiful reflections on
beautiful.
the state. It's like art and documentary and also kind of without saying anything, a deep
Mhm.
introspection on the trajectory of modern society.
Exactly.
And we're what, another almost 15 years out from
Mhm.
some samsara, and I don't think I would want to see the next episode.
I would not want to see the next
I
episode
don't
of
think I
those.
would
I
want to
always
see
I
this.
always show Baraka when I teach cultural anthropology. It's been criticized, but I think it's really useful. Um,
It's useful. It's these are for those who have not seen these films, it is worth watching them on the best screen that you have access to. They're beautiful.
hmm.
Um,
How about have you seen the movie Arrival?
no.
Oh, it's about a linguist who meets an alien sangha and then dissolves time through shared understanding of their. It's basically Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, which is like language creates our reality, which of course has been criticized. And I don't follow Sapir-Whorf, but it's an interesting movie depiction of such. And because they don't have linear time in their language, she decodes these aliens' language and then is able to dissolve time, but basically she meets this like collective alien sangha and it's about language.
Ooh, I like that.
I was also thinking like a beautiful sangha like movie is Dead Poet Society,
Oh, that is
right?
such a beautiful, yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And
beautiful.
they really get in a boat together, like in this shared experience. Oh,
Oh,
Captain, my Captain.
yeah, that's a beautiful
Hmm.
recommendation. And I think I guess just to offer this to listeners, a sangha doesn't have to be united because of the kinds of practices and teachings that we happen to have devoted ourselves to.
Sure,
The
sure, sure.
concept of a sangha could extend, for example, I attend Quaker meetings
Hmm.
often,
Hmm.
and in a sense that is a sangha too.
Absolutely.
It's very quiet, but there's a central practice that is shared in that space and revered, and it's not made up by that group of people, but it's being shared by that group as they come together, and then everyone leaves and goes home. And
Right.
and you can come back and not, and you could not show up for weeks or months or years and come back and you can rejoin the sangha because the sangha extends beyond the moment that it exists in. It's like
How about the Matrix Reloaded Zion scene where they're having the
fuck yeah.
Dionysian rave?
Absolutely. That's one of my
Yeah,
favorite movie scenes of all times.
I know, mine too.
Yeah, that
Exactly.
and I mean that kind of brings us to fashion pick. So
I love it.
I also had not thought of this ahead of the podcast, but if we're talking about um essentially like a lifeboat or a rave scene from The Matrix, I think the fashion pick is like a little scruffy. I mean, it's
Okay.
kind of like whatever works for you in this moment. And what I was thinking about is like, you know, typically we think of a sangha in our context as a group of people coming together in practice. So you will often see people wearing clothing appropriate for
Yes.
practicing yoga asana. But sometimes someone will show up in like jeans
I love it when
and
somebody
I
shows
love when
up
shows up in jeans.
with
It's
like a
like
belt. It's
and a
so
belt.
great.
Yeah, like their wallet in their pocket. It's
Like
like
a
you
bullet chain. I love
well,
that shit.
yes, like you can come
You can
to your
come.
yoga
And you know what? When I was involved in a very culty yoga establishment that did a very early morning sangha practice, like at 3:45, homeless people lacking housing would roll in and chill for the whole 2 hour practice because it was warm and there was like good chanting.
yeah.
Yeah. But
Um
there's also like this question of like aesthetic belonging and then like uniformed erasure, like, and there is that like, there is the flowy white on white linens that would probably be a fashion pick. And then
Mm-hmm.
we also do often do the wearing of colors for the planetary days. So that's super culty. I love that.
That's true. That's another thing that sometimes happens.
Yep.
Um, you may certainly, and I think this is actually applicable in the Matrix scene, in the lifeboat scene, in the more traditional Sangha that we're talking about, is you're not dressing to impress, you're dressing to participate in a practice where often you won't even really see what anyone else is wearing,
One
but
hopes.
one hopes, but not a lot of brands.
Hmm.
This is like uh yeah, the white robes, it's that comes to mind because it's a way of removing distraction
That's right.
as you turn inward beyond the superficial external self.
One of the early sanghas I was involved in my life was one that would go into the wilderness for extended amounts of time, and there were rules about not wearing bright colors on the trail because it was distracting.
Hmm. Yeah, it would be like if you were going hunting with a group of people and everyone was wearing camo and you were not. It would be
Yeah.
like, yo, that's cool. You can wear whatever you want usually. However, in this context, like here's an example. It would be disrespectful to a degree to attend some sort of sangha like
Yes.
group setting wearing very smelly cologne or perfume.
Oh, the worst.
We have had
Or
members
dryer
of
sheets.
or dryer sheets or Febreze is one that sometimes makes its way into the space. Um, we have had this, and um, I'm thinking of a specific person
I am too. I've already
that we
got them in
both
mind.
know.
Okay, we're moving on.
And
Music. Do you have
okay,
any music?
absolutely.
I do
So
too.
I had two songs come to mind. The first one is part of like the opening dialogue of DJ Kicks. I don't know if anyone listens to like all the different DJ Kicks records, but this one is definitely a playthrough in the sense that the tracks are all seamless together. And there's a combination of like movie type narrative, like kind of like kung fu fighting movie scenes, and then like an MC. And one of the first lines is seek not to know the answer, but to understand the question.
Oh, that's really good.
Oh, that's really good, right?
That might be a
And
Rumi quote.
yeah, wherever it comes from, that is the song that first came to mind because I think that is that's something to reflect upon in the kind of space that we're talking about being in. The other one that came to mind is what's I don't know what it's actually called, the long time song sun song that we sing to each
Oh,
other.
the Longtime Sunshine song.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, how
Oh.
culty. Um, I was going with like Spangle,
Perfect.
divine
Spangle.
moments divine moments of truth,
Perfect. Yeah.
which is
Also,
like the whole sangha in a mushroom portal.
yeah, I think that, and I was gonna say, I was kind of evidencing this, but a modern kind of Sangha-like
Mm,
thing that happens around the world are psychedelic music festivals.
absolutely. A sangha like. I mean, it's kind of
Sangha-like.
odd that you go to the music festival with is your sangha.
That's right. It's like your Burning Man camp
Yeah, I know. I was just gonna say it.
is kind of like your Sangha.
Yeah.
It's 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 not traditional. It's not necessarily what we're thinking of when we say that word, but I think it's important to credit all of the different ways that we
Yes.
instinctively find our
I
lifeboat.
mean, we also like we spent probably millions of years in very small band level societies that were like 15 to 20 individuals, 30 maximum. It's literally what we're biologically designed to do is sit
Yep.
around and grunt with these people and look at a fire.
Hmm. Yeah. And maybe eat some mushrooms
And
as
probably eat some mushrooms and probably chant and make some noises and practice our symbolic behavior.
yep. And
Great.
that's it's coded, hard coded into our DNA to participate in these kinds of things. And as samsara grows around us in this modern world, and as modern society has individualized us, we seek more than ever to find the kinds of sanghas that will support us because this is a very strange society that we are all a part of.
Mhm.
And the reason why we're talking about a lifeboat on an ocean of samsara is very similar to the Matrix. And then
Mhm.
when you exit the Matrix, whether it's your first time or your
Mhm.
nth time, because you have been liberated or initiated to the other side, when you come out and come back to the non-matrix reality, you might need a rave
Yeah,
for morale
good
boosting
morale.
purposes. You
Absolutely.
might need to dance with very little clothing on because
Yes,
what could be a better anecdote to fighting a war against AI that's using your body as a battery? Um,
exactly.
just saying.
Yeah.
Yep. What was the other thing that we said we were going to talk about? Um, See, this is the problem is sometimes I say I'm going to say a thing and then I don't say
You
the
wanted to
thing.
talk a little bit about our lineage
That's
and
right. I would love
um
to. Yeah.
yes, okay.
Because is very relevant as as we reflect more on the traditional idea of a sangha within the yoga or yogic arts community. There has been less and less of an emphasis on lineage in the West, especially in the world of drop into this class with your class pass at any studio you want. You can put on some leggings and walk in off the street and join what is
Which
very
has immense
much
value in
absolutely
the
it
sense of
does.
like you're exercising your body and that's wonderful. And maybe you're gonna like mellow out your mind and get a little vagal nerve connectivity. It's awesome.
It's
Do it.
awesome.
Please do.
And the this has happened because that's what we need right now.
Exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
yoga isn't confused about its place in
Nope,
society.
not at all.
Not at all. There is no criticism of any of these things that are happening.
Except for
Well,
if we like go into the vantage of like cultural appropriation
oh
and
yeah.
massive like exploitation. But beyond that, like at a different level, there isn't a
Yeah.
criticism of just like yoga culture. It's fine, it's what it is. It's great. It is wonderful for so many people who are suffering. Yay. Let's from the perspective of let's alleviate suffering. It's not that sort of yoga culture is not necessarily perpetuating suffering from in for anyone.
Not necessarily at the individual level, although we should call out individual bad behavior, and
Of
I
course.
feel comfortable saying objectively bad behavior when it comes to things like gatekeeping,
Absolutely.
on one end of the spectrum all the way to the other end of the spectrum of like abusing your students because you have the power to do that, as has been a theme amongst successful quote unquote yogis in modern society. So yeah, I mean there's plenty to
It's
criticize, but
complex.
what we are not criticizing is if you enjoy, and I have class pass and I drop into yoga classes sometimes. So
Love
it's
it.
like we all there's no criticism of practicing to whatever degree the practice is available to you in that moment.
Mhm.
Please continue to do it and more. And we're here to just add some depth and opportunity for reflection. But to all of that point, when you are in a open to the public space and people can drop in and out, on the one hand, you are momentarily for that hour forming a mini sangha,
Yeah.
which forms and dissolves at the beginning and end of that practice. And on the other hand, that boat is not really moving the way that a Sangha has
It's
the
a leaky kind of
it's
boat.
a leaky kind of boat. That's the kind of boat where it's like the teacher has the boat and people are climbing in out of the water and it's rocking the boat sometimes.
If the
The
teacher even has the boat. I
if the
mean,
teacher even has the boat, the boat might actually just be the studio, which is a shala, not a sangha, right? That's a space,
maybe,
maybe,
maybe. I don't know. It's a maybe, maybe,
maybe.
maybe. Right? These are interesting metaphors and terms. I mean, it's a. I wouldn't expect that boat to take me across the ocean of samsara. It
No,
may.
it may and it may not. It could
But I
the
doubt that it would. And I think what's important is that in the original sense of the term, the kula or the sangha is like a lifetime membership in a family-like structure.
that's right. And
And that's very different than jumping into a class and jumping out.
correct, there may be people in that class who you could over time come to consider to be lifetime members of your
Sure.
family, and that may not be at all the place where you find the kinds of people who are willing to ride this out with you.
Yeah.
And we are saying this from the perspective of having, as most of us do, great awareness about the state of the world right now, which is something we've reflected on throughout the course of this season and will continue to reflect upon, where right now there is an imminent need for safe passage uh, through uh, through a very interesting time in human history.
Exactly.
And you may you may find that the sangha that you feel the most supported by comes together in unexpected ways.
Mhm.
Um, Fashion pick, movie pick, music pick. We did it.
Shall I tell a myth?
Absolutely. Tell the
Okay,
myth.
so this is a very beautiful myth. So it begins with a demon, as most of these myths do. So once long ago, or maybe last week, inside your own heart, there was a demon who was named Maheshvara, and Maheshvara means big, Maha, uh, demon, and he was a buffalo-headed demon because this showed his stubbornness and his pride. And he had been given this boon that no man shall ever kill you. And so this sounded like liberation, but it was actually tyranny. And so he drove out all the devas from heaven and he shattered the Dharma and he sat on Indra's throne because no god could ever kill him, no man could ever kill him. And so the gods wept and they went to Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva and they said, oh, please help us. But no man could kill Maheshvara, no god, no hero, no weapon, anything forged by the hands of a masculine deity, it's not going to happen. So the gods surrendered their power. They placed all of their power into a great fire pit. And out of that yagya, out of that fire pit, and from that blinding light came Durga, 10 armed and riding a lion, radiant as 1,000 suns. And of course, Durga is the threshold keeper. She is the keeper who is the razor's edge of ultimate and relative reality. And so, in each of her hands, she had divine weapons that were gifted to her by the gods. She had Shiva's trident and Vishnu's discus and Indra's thunderbolt. And she had her own eyes, which were blazing with spiritual fire. And so she went to war with Maheshvara. And, he laughed and he sent out his generals and his sorcerers and all of his shapeshifters. And he became a lion and he became a serpent and he became an elephant. And every form she meets with grace and devastation. And the battle gets more and more fierce. And eventually she calls upon her sisters, the Matrikas. And Matrika is also the name of language of Sanskrit itself. But from her own body, she called the Matrika the mother goddesses, and they came one by one like flames. Brahmi with her water pot and mantras, and Vaishnavi with her discus and conch, and Maheshwari with her trident and skull, and Kaumari with her beautiful, youthful visage and the rage of youth. I love it. She's very like teenage punk rock. Varahi, who has a boar snout and just unrelenting will. And in many ways, the boar headed goddess in many pantheons is a mother goddess in Buddhism and in several other pantheons. Indrani with her thunder in her palms, and Chamunda, who is the very, very fierce one who arises from Durga's own shadows to drink the blood of what cannot die. And in some tellings, one more goddess emerges, and it depends, but usually we have these eight matrikas who dance on all the corpses of illusion. And so they all came together and they laugh at Maheshvara. And with her army, she faces Maheshvara. And he shifts shape and he roars, and Durga doesn't blink. She pierces him with her trident and she pinned him down. And then she leaps on him and she presses him under her foot and severs his head and cuts off the demon ego head of domination and false authority. And then the skies cleared and the divas returned, and she, calm and beautiful and utterly unfazed, sheaths her weapons and smile. So these are the matrikas, the every part of ourselves that we've disowned, but they are also the sangha. The sangha that doesn't just like hold your hand and dance around a flower field together. It hands you a sword and it hands you the greatest tools and weapons to lovingly cut through your own ego self.
I love it. And correct me if I'm wrong. I know
Mm.
we are not talking about Jyotish or any astrology today, but I believe that this myth relates to one of the nakshatras specifically, which is Hasta,
Mm.
and which is represented by a water buffalo.
Mm. Mm.
I believe that this myth shows up if you research that sign. That's just
Mm.
a thought. Just a thought because Mars is going to be there soon.
Mm.
Interesting.
Okay, interesting. Hmm.
Interesting.
Interesting. I have to look into it a little bit more. Narasimha is also there in the matrikas oftentimes, and she's the lion-headed one who turns rage into courage. So, possible connection with Hasta Nakshatra with this myth and the matrikas. And this is another episode of Third Eye Roll. I hope that you have enjoyed. We'll be back in a couple weeks for season two, which may bring us into new and different realms.
So we do have to recap what we said
Yes,
because
we
we said
do.
we're going to explain what we're talking about, then we'll talk
Yep,
about it, and we'll tell you that we're
yep,
talking about it, and now we'll tell you what
yep.
we talked about.
I feel like we did a good job.
I think we did a good job. So we covered, we were talking about the idea of a sangha.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
We talked about both samskara
mm-hmm,
and samsara.
mm-hmm.
If you can't remember what those means, you'll have to listen again.
That's right.
And we told a myth,
Mm-hmm.
and we foreshadowed season two.
Yep.
And what we can say now is that thank you for joining us on
Mm-hmm.
this magical mystery tour for the last 15 weeks straight. We'll take a little summer recess and we'll come back and talk more about some of the other aspects of this tradition that we have explored in in our sanghas over the years. We did not say very much about our lineage.
Mm-mm.
Maybe we will introduce season two
I
with
like
a
that idea.
little bit of background on who we are and how we got here. Ooh, that's going to be
Or not, but
interesting.
we can.
Or not. We could just say that we're going to do it and then talk about how we're talking about talking about it, but then not actually. Anyway, it's
Om Namah
Namah
Shivaya.
Shivaya.
Shivaya. Much love. Take care, friends.
Bye.